So you may not understand why I'm calling this repeat 2. Maybe not. Oh shoot, I forgot I had this shirt on. You may not understand why I call this repeat 2. But it's because if you paid attention to repeat 1, or whatever it was titled, repeat I think, you understand that Moses is at an inflection point in Numbers chapter 11. Let me keep this spot here. In Numbers chapter 11, Moses is at an inflection point because, here we go again, the people are complaining. And Moses starts to complain. It's like, what's going on? In verse 16, and the Lord said unto Moses, gather unto me 70 men of the elders of Israel, whom thou knowest, to be the elders of the people and officers over them, and bring them unto the tabernacle of the congregation, that they may stand there with thee. This happened before, remember, in Exodus chapter 24. That's what I brought out in the last video. This happened before. The reason why I'm driving this home, because I think I told you in Numbers chapter 10 that this is where everything kind of changes a little bit, because they're making some movement. They made a little bit of movement, left Sinai, and went into the desert of Paran. Made a little bit of movement, and I do mean a little bit of movement. You know, so on that journey, here we go again. Quail, manna, complaining. It's like, come on. Stop. Moses is like, listen, you put me in this situation, God, or actually Lord, and, you know, I can't govern all these people. Well, no kidding. He had told you how to do that before even Exodus chapter 24. In Exodus chapter 18, when your father-in-law came, you know, because you sent your wife home, and she was like, Dad, he sent me home. And father-in-law had to leave, you know, the priest of Midian had to leave. He's like, all right, let's go find out. So him and his sons came to him and said, Moses, what's going on? And Moses was like, well, God is doing great things with, exuberant responses. I think I should read it. Let's read it. I didn't plan on doing it this way, but let's read it. Exodus 18. I got to find where it is, but, you know, bear with me. Let me just show you. We've read through this, but, you know, I want to start. This is why I said repeating. Nothing's new under the sun. Turns out nothing's new under the sun very quickly. Verse 1 of Exodus chapter 18, when Jethro, the priest of Midian, Moses' father-in-law, heard of all that God had done for Moses and for Israel, his people, that the Lord had brought Israel out of Egypt. Then Jethro, Moses' father-in-law, took Zipporah, Moses' wife, after he had sent her back. Baby, I'm too busy. Just going back to your dad's house. I'll be back in a minute. This man is 84 years old at this point. They know I'll be back. And he knew that too, I think. He just didn't want his wife to suffer through all the challenges that he was going through. That's the way I see it. Verse 3, and her 2 sons, of which the name of one was Gershom, he said, I have been an alien in a strange land. So it kind of gives you a background of where he's coming from in his thought process. Alien in a strange land. The strange land was in Egypt. The strange land was when he became son-in-law in Esau's land. We're so, anyway, I'm not going to start preaching. I just want you to get the premise behind this. Verse 4, and the name of the other was Eliezer of God my father, for the God of my father mine help and delivered me from the sword of Pharaoh. He's telling you where he came from through the names of his sons. And Jethro, Moses' father-in-law, came with his sons and his wife unto Moses into the wilderness. And Moses greeted him. I'm trying to make it quick because I don't want to make this whole thing about Exodus chapter 18. Jethro rejoiced with him in verse 9. He's like, that's cool. And Jethro said, bless the Lord who has delivered you out of the hands of the Egyptians. That's good. Now I know that the Lord greater than all gods, for in things wherein they dealt proudly above them. And Jethro, Moses' father-in-law, took a burnt offering. Isn't that interesting? He dedicated his life. I just don't have, it's just so rich, I don't have time to even, anyway, and sacrifices for God. And Aaron came and all the elders of Israel, and they ate bread with Moses' father-in-law before God. But even though Moses did something with him, listen to what Moses' father-in-law said to him in verse 17. And Moses' father-in-law said unto him, the thing that thou doest is not good. It's not good. No, no, no. And the thing that he was talking about that wasn't good was, in fact, let me read it in verse 20. And thou shalt teach them ordinances and laws, and shalt show them the way wherein they must walk, and the walk that they must do. Moreover, thou shalt provide out of all the people able men, such as fear God, men of truth, hate covetousness, and place over them rulers of thousands, rulers of hundreds, rulers of fifties, rulers of tens. In other words, he's saying, dude, you can't do everything by yourself. That's cray-cray. That's crazy. That's nuts. No, it's unhealthy. You don't even have time for your wife and your own 2 kids. No, teach them the ordinances and the laws. You can't tell me that this is not appropriate for today. Too many leaders, and maybe self-proclaimed in some cases, too many leaders are trying to do everything on their own because they don't think people around them are qualified enough. And then they wonder why there's growth. Listen, I'm talking about corporate America, nonprofit organizations. I'm talking about in politics. I'm talking about in every area of society. You have a whole bunch of covetousness going on. They covet their own stuff. They're eating their own vomit because they refuse to understand that leadership is for promoting leaders. It's the only purpose to have leadership because you're promoting you're serving those who want to serve the people. Keep in mind what the ministry is for. The ministry is to leaders. You're serving people who want to learn how to serve people. That's what a leader is. Serve the people that want to learn how to serve. There are certain people that don't want to learn how to serve the people because they think they got it figured out. You can't help them. Can't. Because this is not a game. This is about changing people's lives. And if you're just sitting over something, hovering, because you don't want people to see, it's almost like you don't want people to see your flaws. We all got flaws. That's the natural extension of being a human being. But God brings people into your life to cover your flaws. And if you don't allow them to excel where you're weak, then you miss the whole purpose of being a leader. Numbers chapter 11, verse 16. And the Lord said unto Moses, gather unto me 70 men of the elders of Israel. He has started complaining. In other words, he was taking on too much. God ain't wrong. So if you're complaining, maybe, just maybe, we're missing it as a tribe. Just maybe. Gather unto me 70 men of the elders of Israel, whom thou knowest to be the elders of the people. Let me jump to verse 17, because we have a long way to go. And I will come down and talk with thee there. When he says, I will come down and talk with thee there, this is not a suggestion. Too many leaders think that these principles are suggestions. Or maybe it's just Paul reading it wrong. No, read it for yourself. I always say, study to show yourself approved. If you look at the tenses, the masculinity of the text, he is telling you what to do. He's not suggesting that you do this. If you get to the point where you're complaining, and there's a lack, you just had all the stuff in the world. Now you're lacking. Bring to me 70 elders. Now, maybe for you it won't be 70 elders. Chances are it won't be. But it might be 7. Bring to me 7 elders. In other words, elevate somebody other than yourself. Maybe it'll be 3. I don't know. Elevate somebody. And then this is the promise. I will take of the spirit which upon thee and put upon them, and they shall bear the burden of the people with thee. It's a principle. It's not a Muslim principle. It's not a Christian principle. It's not a Buddhist principle. It's not a Taoist principle. It's a God principle. That's why rain falls on the just and the unjust. It's who uses the principles better. I see more elitism in Christianity than I see anywhere. Take that for what you want to take it for. Because everybody's smarter than everybody. My stuff is important, yours not so much, because you need to learn from me. No. I do the best I can to read Audible books, try to support the people that are around me. I try to dig into whatever it is that they're doing, because I am less important than the people in front of me. I don't want to be too high-minded. Now, it costs me something. Because for some odd reason, people think that they're either taking advantage. Sometimes they're taking advantage of me. They're helping me. They don't see the collective nature of how the kingdom works. No one is more important than anyone. And when you get to the place where you think you're more important than everyone, you tend not to promote the 70. Moses was not perfect, but he was correctable. Neither was David. Verse 18, and say thou unto the people, sanctify yourselves against tomorrow, and ye shall eat flesh, for ye have wept in the ears of the Lord, saying, who shall give us flesh to eat? Again. Remember the Red Sea thing? Anyway. Well with us in Egypt. Therefore the Lord will give you flesh, and ye shall eat. And ye shall not eat 1 day, nor 2 days, nor 5 days, nor 10 days, nor 20 days, even a whole month, until it come out of your nostrils, and it be loathsome unto you, because that ye have despised the Lord which among you. See, you guys thought this was good until you heard the sarcasm. I get people to tell me all the time they don't like my sarcasm. A lot. I don't mean any harm with the sarcasm. I really don't. I just think I'm having fun. Because sometimes we can't see the obvious. I'm going to say it like this. We love seeing lack in other people and then looking at them saying, what's your problem? And in the meantime, we don't see the lack in ourselves because you're trying to tap into that person's talent and you don't think their talent is as valuable. If we're not doing it together, we're all lacking. Because you're as valuable to me as I am to you. If you measure your value just by one measurement, you are full of yourself. I can tell you I'm lacking. I need help from mature people. I don't need it from immature people. I will cut an immature person off in a heartbeat if they don't want to learn. But I want to learn from those who are smarter than me. I will die a student. And that would be okay with me. Set yourselves apart against tomorrow, and you will eat flesh. And this is another thing. God is either talking to Moses or Moses and Aaron. He's never talking directly to the people. He teaches Moses and Aaron to talk to the people. Notice he's never talking to even the princes. This is the order of things. He's talking to Moses, or he's talking to Moses and Aaron about the people. And he's teaching Moses, not Aaron, but he's teaching Moses, he's teaching Aaron too, but he's teaching Aaron through Moses how to surround yourself with the most quality people you can, because to become successful, you need quality relationships. He's not talking directly to the numbers. He's talking to the leadership. But the leadership has to care enough about the numbers that they're willing to bring the numbers in too. This is why people were adopted into the Levitical tribes. This is why they were willing to promote the strangers as well. The ones that are willing to adopt the practices of the kingdom of God. Your mindset has to be one of service. In the New Testament, they call it evangelism, which is all just Greek, Latin. But we got to see it more organically and more real. Understanding that we're affecting people's lives, real time. So what you see as sarcasm, I see as God making a statement, making a point, because I've been telling you this over and over again. This is the reason why later on you'll find that Miriam will get punished because she never learned. She just never learned. And Moses will not see the promised land. Because even in the maturity of those who love God, we miss it. sometimes, which maybe even be God's plan, because we're not perfect. But the idea is ushering in the kingdom of heaven. This is not about your personal wealth. Although wealth is like the gravy. If we do it right, we get wealthy. I didn't say rich. You can get riches on your own. Just buy enough real estate. And if you do it early enough, young enough, get yourself an insurance policy, pay into it $700-800 a month, and you'll be rich when you're my age. If you're young enough, you'll be rich. But wealthy means you're doing it with other people. CashApp $MrPaulDozier, CashApp $MrPaulDozier. Thank you for taking this journey from Genesis to Revelation. I do not know how long it's going to take to get there. But I'm glad you're on the journey with me. God bless you.